And then also you might realize that Baxter Corporation was the company, along with the Bayer Corporation, that put out the HIV/AIDS contaminated blood clotting factor 8. You might recall that besides that, Baxter Corporation also circulated and was sued by class action of thousands of people, when tens of thousands were actually injured, with the heparin, where they substituted a cheap chemical for the real good top shelf stuff that everybody was paying for. So besides that, the Baxter Corporation has a hideous history, including the production of medical pumps that failed to work and killed a lot of people. Now, given that history that I just shared with you, add one more thing. Add the fact that they were just cited, indicted, for having sent around through the 18 European nations the avian flu contaminated vaccinations that were used. Those contaminated vaccines that the Baxter Corporation officials, when asked how did this happen, they said, quote, "It was an accident," end quote. And that's all they wrote. So the fact is that this virus that supposedly kills 60% of the people that it infects, the avian flu H5N1 virus, has been now disseminated through the European nations, and as the Mexican flu primer and easily recombining with other flu viruses moves around the world, comes to Europe, what do you think is going to happen when it reaches people and infects people and then recombines in people with the avian flu? That's why now the World Health Organization is in meetings trying to figure out how best to break it to you that we're about to have the big one. So it's been a political agenda, financial agenda, genocidal agenda, essentially a depopulation agenda for a long time that's been unfolding. And if you've been an observer, as I have, or if you've attended to my works from emerging viruses, AIDS and Ebola, on through to Death in the Air, Globalism, Terrorism, and Toxic Warfare, that's a principal book. You need to read that. To really fully understand what is going down here, you really need to read Death in the Air, Globalism, Terrorism, and Toxic Warfare. And then if you want to really begin to understand this issue of DNA being manipulated into something less than what the Creator had intended, then get the book DNA, Pirates of the Sacred Spiral, and you'll see this company, a Canvas, and you'll see what I've referenced with regard to the avian flu and the Tyson Corporation and the vying for the global monopoly over the poultry industry, which was the first time we had in 1998. We had H5N1 making the news for the very first time in association, as I indicated in those works, with the Tyson Corporation vying for a global monopoly for poultry industry, killing off the family farmers, the smaller combines and companies that raise the fowl. And so that this is what we're facing. People who have economic and espionage and sabotage, covert operations on behalf of multinational corporations that are advancing these hideous intoxications, biological weaponry, and urgencies now that are facing humanity. So sadly, we've got to look at the reality. And the reality is that this is going to happen. Every expert's saying it's going to happen, and from what I'm looking at, the intelligence that I'm reading, it's going to happen by the fall. Now, there's good news. Let's just transition a little bit to the better news. The better news has to do with what expert scientists have now declared, that during the year 2012, the solar radiations are going to change dramatically. There's going to be a lot of solar flares, some of which, including one that's predicted to hit on December the 21st, 2012, the day the Mayan calendar ends, is a day that we're supposed to receive the full force of a huge solar flare. This past week also I received intelligence from a retired Navy physicist, and if you understand naval intelligence and you understand maritime law and you understand who's really controlling the covert operations and intelligence organizations on this planet, you've got to look at the United States Navy, linked to the British Admiralty, and its Admiralty law, in a court of law in the United States, it's British maritime law. The power is in the Marine, and the issues, like yellow submarine, we're yellow, fearful, under the water, under the maritime control. And so you have to understand some of this background to realize that the intelligence that I just received from this retired Navy physicist, who tells us that we're very, very, very likely to see around 2012 a dramatic increase in cosmic radiation hitting planet Earth, because the sun is changing so dramatically, cosmologically, electromagnetically, energetically. It is changing dramatically, and with that change is going to come an increase in not just solar flares but cosmic radiation in general, as there is a diminishing protection of Earth against the cosmic radiation, according to the scientists. The good news is that that's going to kill off all the viruses, because ultraviolet light kills viruses. The bad news is that these radiations are also going to impact us. And the only way really to seriously prevent your own body chemistry and body temple from being taken out is you've got to go to the light. You've got to get into serious prayer, contemplation, and faith in the source of all sustenance at this point. And then, that's where the plan is moving. That is where the great news exists. The plan has always been there. Jesus talked about the plan. Moses gave you the laws of the plan. The burning bush gave the laws which said there's nothing missing, nothing broken in the kingdom of heaven, to be in love and engage in the full laws of the universe, which is this mathematical matrix where 1 and 1 is always 2. I'm combining theology and scientific understanding now and mathematical proofs to basically appeal to you to realize that you are a digital, that's mathematical, biology, holographic, bioholographic, biology and holography. You're a digital bioholographic precipitation, like rain, made of water. Precipitation, crystallization, liquid crystal superconductor, the creative juice, the liquid crystal, water. So you're a crystallization and miraculous manifestation of divine frequency vibrations in water right now. Although it's not as wet as that the dolphins are experiencing, take my word for it, the science is very clear. You'd be dead if it wasn't for the water around you and inside you right now. So we're really looking at the fact that salvation rests in the living water, in the Creator, in the Creator's creative juice. So that's this concept as we're evolving now into concert for the living water that you have to keep in mind. But also, the fact is that the revelations that have been coming, count 42 months from December 21st, 2012, and you hit June 21st, 2009. That's in about 12 days when we're scheduled together to sing a new song in such a way as to instantaneously, energetically deliver this entire planet back spiritually to the Creator. And as you and I do that, if you've been noticing, there's been an exponential multiplying